Hello, in today's video we are going to be talking all about bookkeeping tips for private practice. Just to caveat that I am not an accountant. I have run my own sole trader business for the past 5 years and done my own self-assessments. So this is all just from personal experience and just having an understanding about business and self-employment in general. This is going to be the first video in a 4-part video series all about finance within private practice as we come up to the end of the financial year, so that you can kick off the new tax year with all of the knowledge and tips that I have for you. This is one of the areas I don't want you to feel overwhelmed with, as bookkeeping can be really simple. So for those of you who don't know me, hi, my name's Kim. I help therapists in private practice get online, get confident with admin and reduce tech overwhelm. The first thing I want to let you know is that I do have a bookkeeping spreadsheet which you can purchase, and I'm offering a free workshop for anyone who purchases it in March or April, so that you can come along and get everything set up with me and we can process your first month's worth of expenses together, so that you can feel really confident to use the spreadsheet and get all of your bookkeeping done. So now let's jump straight into the tips. My first tip for you is to get a separate bank account for your business. Even if you haven't got clients yet, I would suggest setting up a new bank account. This can be really easy nowadays. One of my favorite banks is Starling. If you haven't heard of them, they are an online bank and you can get set up with them in about 5 minutes, as long as you have some ID and you just download the app and go through their security, sign on, and you'll get a bank account. They even have a specific sole trader business bank account that you can set up. Now, my first tip isn't to get a Starling bank account. It's just a way for you to easily be able to set up a bank account today. If you wanted one right now, you could go and set it up before this video even ends. The point is to separate your personal and your business finances. That is going to make it so much easier to do your bookkeeping, to manage all of your cash flow, to understand how financially healthy your practice is, and also so you know exactly how much you have spent in your business in any one month. You don't want to be sifting through your personal bank account, printing off PDF statements and things like that and highlighting off what was a business expense and what wasn't, because more than likely you're going to miss something. Having a separate bank account is going to make doing your expenses at the end of the month so much simpler, because every single item that has come out of your bank account, you know, is an expense for your business. What you want to do is make things as simple as possible, and separating your finances is the best way to do this. Tip number 2 is making sure that you keep a record and receipts of all of your income and expenses throughout the month. You do need to make sure you have records of all of the things that you are buying. So this is why having a separate bank account can make that really easy for you, because every single line item that's coming out of your account or coming into your account is for your practice. This is why I think it's really important to actually send your clients invoices, so that you can produce records of all of the income that you have received throughout the tax year. This also relates to your expenses. If you are buying something for your business, whether online or in person, you want to make sure you keep the receipts, because if you ever get audited, you will need to produce these. This leads on nicely to tip number 3, which is having some kind of filing system for your records. So if you use my bookkeeping spreadsheet, that will give you a lovely overview of all of your income and expenses throughout the month, so you can see what profit your business has made. However, all of those line items, so all of your expenses, should have a receipt attached to them. So having some kind of filing system for those can be really helpful. Now, obviously you can have a manual filing system and just have like a folder of all of your receipts, but that can get quite difficult if you have some that are online and some that are physical. Now, I would say most of the receipts you're going to receive are for online purchases or systems. So being able to have a digitalized folder on your computer so that you have everything there is going to make it really easy for you if you ever need it. So what I would suggest is having a folder with your tax year on it, so 23, 24 for example, and then inside that having the months of the year, and then inside each of those folders just having all of the receipts. That will make it really easy for you if you ever need to produce these if you are audited. Tip number 4 is to do cash-based accounting. Now that can sound quite scary, but basically it's the easiest way for you to be able to do your account. What that means is that you are only tracking the physical money that comes into your bank account and the money that goes out of your bank account. If you send an invoice to somebody at the end of March, but it isn't received until the 3rd of April, you would actually only count that on the 3rd of April. So you're not guessing or estimating what is coming into or out of your bank account based on what purchases you know you've made or what invoices you're waiting to be paid. You are only doing it based on the actual money going in and out of your bank account. And this is the easiest way for you to be able to start doing your expenses. In the UK, you can do this if you are turning over under 150k a year. So this is going to be for most people in private practice, whether you're a sole trader or a limited company. Tip number 5 is keeping on top of your bookkeeping monthly. So yes, you can just do your bookkeeping at the end of the tax year so that you can file your self-assessment, but actually keeping on top of it monthly can have some huge benefits. Number 1 is time. If you did your accounts at the end of each month, it's only going to take you about an hour if you have a good spreadsheet or some kind of accounting software. Whereas if you did it at the end of the tax year, it's going to take you a significant amount of time. And if this kind of thing isn't your jam, isn't something you enjoy, you're going to be much more put off doing it at the end of a year, knowing that you've got 12 whole months to do, rather than just doing it for a short period, a month at a time. Secondly, if there are issues, it's much easier to pick those up on a monthly basis. So for example, when I do my clients' bookkeeping at the end of the month, I make sure that all of the invoices have actually been paid. We have a record of all of the invoices we've sent out. We match those up with the payments that have been made, and it's easy to see if somebody has not paid an invoice or if they've made an overpayment. If you're not checking this on a monthly basis, it's really easy for you to think that your clients are up to date with payments when they actually aren't. I've worked with lots of therapists who come to me and tell me that all of their clients are up to date, and then when I go back and do their bookkeeping, I can see there are actually missed payments. And by that point, it's probably too late to even mention it to the client. Another good thing about doing it monthly is that you can start to notice income cycles, so you can see when you're earning the most money and when you have lower months. Then going forward, you'll be able to make plans for those. So for example, if you know you always take a holiday in August, you can start saving some money in your account because you know that you have all of the expenses are still going to be the same, but you're not earning as much. So you know you need to save some money into the account so you can make sure that you can make all those payments. Another thing you can do if you're looking at it on a monthly basis is notice where you're spending in places you don't need to spend. So you can have a look and realize that you're spending quite a lot of money in a certain area, and maybe you can cut down on that spending. You can notice if you are not making as much profit as you thought you were, things like that. So it's really important to keep on top of your finances on a monthly basis rather than just looking at the number in your bank account, because that doesn't always tell the whole story. Tip number 6 is don't spend all of your money. If you are a sole trader, you are taxed on all of your profit, which is your turnover. So all the money that's come into your account minus all your expenses, so the money that has come out of your account. So if you turn over £3,000 and your expenses are £1,000, you are going to be taxed on £2,000 whether you use that money or not. So if you take £2,000 out of your account, you're taxed on that. If you only pay yourself £1,000, you're still going to be taxed on the £2,000. It's important you know that so that you can save some of that money for your tax payments. When you're a sole trader in the UK, you usually only have to make 1 or 2 payments in the year. So you do your self-assessment, they tell you how much tax you owe, and you usually then pay that within a certain amount of time. In some circumstances, you will also have to pay on account. So they'll estimate how much you're going to have to pay, and they'll say, we need this upfront. So what you want to do is make sure you're not spending all of your earnings. So this is another reason to really make sure that you are keeping on top of it on a monthly basis, so you know how much you can actually take and how much you need to leave for tax. And my final tip for bookkeeping in private practice is to use your Google Calendar or some other kind of calendar to set reminders and deadlines for all of the things that you need to do within your practice. So you can set reminders to do your monthly bookkeeping, you can set reminders to file your tax return and set reminders to pay your tax. This is going to make sure that you are completely organized with your finances in private practice, so you're not going to get any fines from HMRC, and so that you're not feeling overwhelmed when it comes to self-assessment and things like that. When you're used to being an employee, you can really take for granted that basically you're getting your wages and there's nothing else you need to do about it. Everything is taken care of, your tax, your national insurance, your pension contributions, all those kind of things. When you're self-employed, all of that has to be done by you. So by setting deadlines and following all of the rest of the tips, it's going to make it much easier for you. So my conclusion for bookkeeping in private practice is to be organized. Keep on top of your finances. Lots of people find looking at money and dealing with money really overwhelming and scary. But if you are not taking control of it, or at least having somebody else do it for you, but reporting the information to you, so at least you know the health of your practice, you're never going to be able to fully manage your private practice successfully and know the health of it and what you have to spend and things like that. How can you make financial decisions for your business if you don't know if you can afford something? Let's say you wanted to go back to offering face-to-face appointments with clients and you wanted to rent a room. How do you know if you can afford to do that if you're not looking at your finances? And finally, if you really want some help with your bookkeeping and a really easy way to get started with this, you can purchase my template, which I'll leave a link in the description below, and come to my workshop so that I can help you get started and not feel overwhelmed with the process. Until next time, thanks so much for watching.